Hey there guys, YouTube, everybody, guys and girls. Today we are going to be going over a deck tech that has been highly requested after a couple wins at FNM, some events. It's been doing very well lately. This is the deck that my girlfriend runs actually, which it does work. The deck by itself is a beast. This is going to be the 5-color Sliver deck. You know, like I said, just an unreal deck. It's been really going above and beyond, working perfectly. And the best part about it is you don't need the dual lands for it. I only have 1 mana confluence in it and 2 Celestia Guild Gates in it, because I mapped it out and did it so the deck will run without all these dual lands and everything else that everyone else is running in it, because the lands just take luck, where if you map out any deck properly, you can draw into everything you need. So we're going to get started with our land base. We're running 6 islands. You know, nothing too crazy, because turn 1 in your hand, you need to have an island. If you don't have an island, then you better be hoping for one of your 5 forests, because turn 1, turn 2 are very crucial to the Sliver deck, where if you can't get anything out turn 1. If you don't have anything to play turn 2, then you're just hoping to draw into something. But you know, for the most part, you're mulligan if you don't have anything turn 1, turn 2-ish. So 6 islands, 5 forests. We're running 2 mountains. Like I said, 2 Celestia Guild Gates, because green and white. Green is super crucial to the deck, so you can always use green, and white is semi-crucial, where there's just a couple cards that you're going to need the white for, but you know, you're still going to need it mid to late game, and it's good to have that opening hand. We're running 3 Evolving Wilds, which I'm iffy about, just because the deck has been running a little bit weird. We've made some changes to it, and it's been running, I don't want to say much slower, but enough of a change to the deck where it's like, we only took out a couple cards and added like some mana. Why is it running differently? But 3 Evolving Wilds, 1 single Plains, just because if you don't have those Celestias, then you'll draw into the Plains, and you can always use mana on the field. 4 Hives, so they tap down for any mana for the Slivers. Super useful, super fun, really good card, and a lot of people will forget that you can tap 5 and tap that, and you'll make another Sliver. So, yeah, the 4 Hives and 1 Mana Confluence. I don't like Mana Confluence. I don't like Shocklands. I don't like Painlands. I don't like paying for something that if you map out the deck properly, you don't need to. That's why there's only 1, because I needed 1 more card for the deck, and I wasn't going to put another creature in it. But yeah, that's it for the mana. So, pretty basic lands, other than the Celestia Guild Gates and the Evolving Wilds, which I would recommend taking out the Evolving Wilds if you could, and put in like either 2 more forests and a red, or 2 more reds and a blue. You know, however you would want to do it, because the draw power on this deck is very specific to early game for your mana base. So we're going to be running 2 Gale Riders. People usually run more, but because it becomes a focus of the game, you don't want to have too many of them out, because someone will Bile-Blight them, someone will, do something to make sure that these ones are dead. But if you have them out, they become main focus. They're 1-drop, 1/1 flyers, giving all the other Sliver flyers, which, it's a real fun deck to play with, because turn 1, you have a flyer. Turn 2, you can have a couple more Slivers out. The reason for the mountain is because of these 2. They give out first strike. So if you don't pull the mountain or one of the Sliver Hives, and you can live without this one for a while, but this is a crucial part to the deck, the first strike, where everyone thinks flying is like super crucial to the Sliver deck, but in reality it's the first strike, vigilance, and death touch ones, because it's indestructible before the Sliver Hive Lord even comes out, and that's turn 3 or 4. So Sentinel Sliver for the vigilance. Yeah, So far, that's turn 2 Vigilance, where you can start swinging in. 2 Diffusion Slivers, just to counter spells that have to touch your slivers. You just straight blow anything up unless if they have to pay more mana, and no one wants to pay more mana to kill a sliver because you have to pay enough mana as it is to try to board wipe me. But yeah, so counters, Vigilance, First Strike, Flying, Death Touch. The Death Touch and First Strike one, once those two are out, you'll usually get a board wipe out of somebody. You know, they'll just swipe up because they can't swing in, and you can just keep swinging because you got First Strike, Vigilance, Death Touch, and you just, okay, I'll swing. And they can't block, and if they do, everything will die. 2 Predatory Slivers. I mean, I like it for the +1/+1. I like having both of them out for +2/+2, but it's an okay sliver to have out. You know, a 2-drop 2/2, you can't really lose. It'll give all your other slivers, you know, +1/+1. So pretty useful there. We're running 3 Mana Weft, and she will let all the other slivers tap down for any color mana. So that's just unreal ramping for this deck. The deck doesn't need that much ramp, but if you get out Mana Weft turn 2, you tap down this turn 1 sliver that you played to play another 1-drop sliver. So you have out turn 2, you have 3 slivers. Turn 4, you have out sliver high, or turn 1 sliver. Turn 2, 2 slivers. Turn 3, sliver Hive Lord. So you have a flying First Strike 5/5 with Indestructible turn 3, and it happens in this deck all the time. All the time. It's just nasty, nasty, nasty when you start playing like that. We went ahead and put 2 Leeching Slivers in, so whenever a sliver attacks, the defending player loses 1 life. I don't like this one. I feel like it slows down the deck a little bit too much for me. I do like a deck running a little bit quicker than this many low drop creatures, but you know, we'll see if it'll stay or if it'll come out. But you know, it does start when you have 2 of them out and you're swinging with, you know, a bunch of 1/1s and people aren't afraid. Then they start taking that 1 extra damage, and that will end a game for most people. So it is it's not a crucial part to the deck, but it is, you know, just another 1 damage that you can get in every turn, or another 3 damage. I've lost a couple games against this deck solely because of that specific sliver. So it can, you know, over time do its job. Lure Sliver to give them all haste. I mean, in reality, you don't need it, but it is a fun trick if you Mana Weft into it, and then, you know, Sliver Hive Lord. You Mana Weft into this, and then you play Hive Lord, so they all get haste. Hive Lord has haste, flying, Death Touch, First Strike, which is just, you know, by the time that you start getting some of these cards out and you start playing like 3 and 4 slivers a turn, you know, it's game over. They'll board wipe. They'll board swipe, not board wipe, but they will usually concede because of it. We're running 1 Siphon Sliver for the lifelink, because who doesn't love lifelink? I mean, really, just 1 of them, because I don't want to bog the deck down with any weird effects like lifelink when it's like, oh, I could really be using, you know, double strike right now, or, you know, could be blocked by 2 or more creatures, or flying. You know, the lifelink is really for those moments where it's like, you know, what else am I going to play right now? Might as well. Which is why there's no black mana in our pool, just because you can Mana Weft into him or you can Hive into him. This is one of my favorite slivers. Belligerent. All slivers have to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. That is unreal when you have First Strike, Death Touch, Flyers. It's just, it becomes game over really quick when you have him out, because number 1, they probably can't block, and number 2, they can't swing in because then they can't block. It's a lot of fun to mess with people with that card, but you know, can't be blocked by 2 or more. Pretty decent. 2 Steel Form Slivers. The more I look at this card, the more I want to take it out, because it's a 3 mana 2/3, and it gives all the other slivers +0/+1. Which, a 3 mana 2/3, you know, I could live without this card. Switch it out for a couple of the lighter cards. Make the deck run a little bit quicker without trying to bog it down too much on the light side. But this next card is actually the only non-Sliver card in the deck, I believe. Yeah, so 3-drop, Yisun the Wanderer Bard. He is a Sliver generator. You can tap 3 and tap him, and you put a counter on him, and you bring out a 1-drop the first turn. The second time you tap him, the counter goes up to 2. You put out a 2-drop. So turn 3, if you don't have any Slivers out, you can play him. Turn 4, you get Flying Sliver. Turn 5, you get out Death Touch Sliver. Turn 6, you get out Double Striking Sliver. So he can generate the Slivers all on his own, and that's if you don't have any Slivers in your hand that you can play, which is just not going to happen with this deck. We're running 2 Hive Stirrings, so put 2 1/1 colorless Slivers out. There's a specific reason for this card, and I'll get back to it in a minute, so we're going to leave that there. We're running 1 Bone Sight because no one sees him coming. You'll probably, like, there's a 99% chance when you get to play him, you're within lethal range. Just because he's a turn 4 Sliver, so essentially if you're ramping pretty well, then you'll have out the Hive Lord already with Flying, First Strike, and Death Touch. So then you play him and you're swinging in for lethal already. It's disgusting when you start getting some of these cards out and people just can't handle how quickly it overwhelms them. But into the 5-drops, Battle Sliver gives them all +2/+0, and we're running 2 of him because just to get that little extra touch of damage out. Yeah, he's a 5-drop, so he might get in the way of us being able to play the Hive Lord, but I've never really had that happen because we're running 4 Hive Lords, so we're probably going to have 1 in hand at all times. In case you didn't know about him, he gives all the Slivers indestructible. So once you're playing your Hive Lord, all your flying First Strike, or all your flying Double Striking +2, +1, +1, +0, +1 Slivers are now indestructible. Which he's not even actually the endgame card because I don't believe in him for endgame. The next card is my endgame card personally. It's the 6-drop Sliver. So whenever a Sliver enters the battlefield, you can exile a creature until that Sliver exits the battlefield, and then they can bring it back. So that's going back into Hive Stirrings. You play him, and then you play one of these, and you get to exile 1 card for him and 2 cards for this one, so it's pretty much a banishing-like combo, but you can board wipe someone pretty quickly just by, ramping into Constructing Sliver and then ramping into 2 Hive Stirrings. So that's board wipe for the most part. And if they have tokens, they're not coming back from exile. But yeah, guys, that's the 5-color Sliver deck. If you guys have any questions or tips or hints, or if you guys would like to know how to do the math to get your deck perfectly balanced as far as draw power versus deck power, just leave a question down below, comment, hit me up on Facebook at Jeremiah St. Louis. Yeah, Sliver Deck Tech, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Last notice on the deck, it is less than $100 to purchase this deck right now.